I wear a steel hard hat.
Felt like we had to ease into the country music this Wednesday morning, but we got there. I like it.
You must have heard I was coming in if you start with country music. I like it.
We just took it straight off your playlist and plugged it into the big computer.
I have to go with Hard-Working Man because I know what our gov has been up to. So
yeah. Glad to be with you this morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. In studio, the governor of the state of Mississippi, Tate Reeves, joining me. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Richard. Always a pleasure to be in, and good to see you this morning.
We have to start personal. Congratulations. Your daughter is enrolled in school, is playing soccer in the state of Tennessee. I guess you've been specific about that publicly. So at Chattanooga, and you now get to be college soccer dad, in addition to being the governor of the state of Mississippi.
Well, Richard, you'll appreciate this. I've said it. I probably said it on this show before, but I tell everybody, look, I do at this phase of my life, I do two things: I work and I watch my kids play sports, but not necessarily in that order.
Yeah.
And look, I'm blessed that all three of my daughters have found sporting events that they like and they enjoy, and I just think sports, whether it's at the high school level or at the collegiate level, is incredibly important to the growth of young people. They learn how to win. And they learn how to lose. And in life,
one is more fun than the other.
There is no doubt about it. And I sometimes tell a story. My daughter, who's playing collegiate league, we were playing in a game. This has been 4 or 5 years ago. And look, I'm not a very good girl dad. I'm a we want to win dad, right? And so feelings are tough. But I told her we went and played a particular game and came out on the wrong end of that particular game. And in the car afterwards, she had tears in her eyes, and of course her mom was trying to console her, and I just told her, I said, look, I'm actually proud of you for crying. I want you to hurt when you lose, because in life, like, you want to drive to succeed. I mean, that's really what it's all about. And so, you gotta be careful with that when you're dealing with young females. But we've been blessed and have had a great time.
So Mississippi has been winning. Your administration has been winning a lot on the economic development front. But I was really fascinated. Bill Cork sat down with me at the Neshoba County Fair, and we talked about a few projects where there was a willingness to lose. And I'm wondering if that level of discipline in the economic development recruitment game, how important is that? He was talking about a particular project that ended up in South Carolina, and he said, they ended up paying a couple of $1 billion more than we were willing to pay. So $35 billion, I think that's the number. It's up to $36 or $37 billion now, and more in the pipeline. But a willingness to walk away. How important is that in this economic development process?
I think it's extremely important because we approach every single project with the idea of what is the ROI for our taxpayers, return on investment. Mm-hmm. If we are not going to get a positive return on investment on a particular deal, then we're not going to do the deal. And I'll harken back to early on in my tenure. We sat down with site development consultants all over the country, and really I wanted to listen to what their perspective was on Mississippi, and they had some really, really good advice. But the consistent theme was, look, Mississippi has historically been known for buying deals. In other words, we would spend significantly more money on a deal than any other state. And one of the reasons that Bill and I work so closely together and so well together is because we have the same mentality, which is we are not going to buy any deals anymore in Mississippi. If there is not a positive,
overpay. Absolutely
not. If there is not a return on investment for our taxpayers, wherein the money we get out through revenue, now not including all these ancillary things that are good, but on the deal itself, then we're just not going to do the deal. And I've been blessed in that I've been on the ballot enough that I'm confident enough to know that I don't need a front page above the fold headline in the New York Times every single day. I'd rather lose a deal that's not good for our taxpayers and not get the headlines than do something that's not good for our taxpayers.
You know, I've worked in the sports realm, and I try not to use sports examples all the time, but this one felt like it fit. You see successful programs, successful teams, and sometimes the best coaches you'll hear talk about, climbing the mountain, getting to a place of success, of relevance, is difficult, but staying there is way harder. Mm-hmm. So once you have a handful of big wins, how do you continue to pile on top of that, to stack on top of that?
Well, I think you're right. I do think staying on top is very difficult, but it's also true, particularly with a state like Mississippi, wherein success begets success. Obviously, when Nick Saban was at the University of Alabama, he got really great recruiting classes year after year after year. Yeah. First of all, he's at Alabama. They've had a long history of being successful, but every time he had a number one recruiting class in America, it made getting the number one recruiting class next year a touch easier because everyone understood the quality of the program. And I think you're seeing that with us. I was thinking on the way out here back to 2014 when the first CFP playoff came out and both State and Ole Miss were ranked in the top 10. I mean, that's really where we are as a state from an economic development perspective right now, is that this is where we find ourselves, that we are out competing and winning every single day. And it's the quality of the projects that we're bringing in that excite me. And it's not just the quality, it's really geographically where they're located.
One of your Republican governor colleagues has been in the headlines a lot. She's doing a great job, Sarah Huckabee Sanders in Arkansas. How much direct competition head-to-head is happening with the state of Arkansas versus collaboration?
Well, it's both. I think Bill sent me, he's been at the Southeastern Development Conference, SEDC, which with all of his colleagues, and they sit on panels together, and they collaborate a lot. The governor of Arkansas and I, and the governor of Louisiana and I, and really we compete a lot, and we're all great friends because and that's really special to build those friendships. But not only do we compete, we also steal ideas from one another, and we laugh about it, right?
What's working, and now let's copy it.
If it's working, we are going to steal it, and we're going to laugh about it all the way to making our states better. And we all love that. I mean, we want to help. We want to collaborate. And I was just at a meeting literally within the last couple of weeks with my fellow governors, and I get more out of sitting around a table and just listening to them as to what they are doing in their states that are working. And I think, in fact, you'll see – we'll do a press conference later today, and without divulging exactly what we're talking about, it really started with an idea that I got from the former governor of New Hampshire and what they were doing around children's mental health. And so literally having those relationships with other governors around the country is incredibly important. And look, we're blessed that we got a lot of really smart Republican governors around the country right now, and Sarah's certainly one of those.
And you mentioned Arkansas and Louisiana as two where you're really competing. Is that because those are the two states that regionally are maybe the most similar to Mississippi?
I do think that's part of it. We don't necessarily see we don't necessarily do direct competition with the two of them when it comes to economic development. I mean, when you look at those two states. Arkansas has the Northwest Corridor with 4 or 5 Fortune 500 companies headquartered there, obviously Walmart being the largest one, and that's a major driver of their economy. Louisiana is very focused in the southwest part of their state with energy projects and really, really large capital investment and capital-intensive projects in southwest Louisiana. So we will compete with them directly from time to time, but really we spend more time competing with South Carolina and Georgia when it really gets down to the narrowing these project sites down to one or two places.
Is there a specific industry that you target more than others, or is there a sector of the business world that you said, okay, this makes the most sense for Mississippi?
I don't know that I would say that there is a specific industry from an overarching theme, but we have to take advantage of the situations where we find ourselves. Aerospace and defense has long been a major player in Mississippi's economy. We have major players in those areas. And we also have a United States Senator now, Senator Wicker, who is chairman of Armed Services. And we have great working relationships. And that particular industry, as an example, is growing in our country. We have a commitment by the president, by the Congress, to invest in our nation's defense, which is the right approach. And so we'll talk about it, I'm sure, when we get back after the break.
We certainly will. Continuing with the governor of the state of Mississippi, Tate Reeves, after this time out. We'll get to some education outcomes, perhaps health outcomes, and a whole lot more. Back with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Good to be with you this morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Appreciate the time of Governor Tate Reeves visiting this morning, talking hopefully about a lot of different things, economic development. We get a question on the C Spire text line, and this was one of the areas that I wanted to go. There's so much emphasis on big development and big projects. Is there enough bandwidth to try and help small businesses that are existing, rural businesses that exist in Mississippi as they try to grow as well?
Oh, no doubt about it. I think the existing industries, specifically small businesses all across Mississippi, are the lifeblood of our economy. They are the entities that employ the vast majority of our people, and so we see a lot of opportunities in the existing industries, and quite frankly, from our perspective, it's a heck of a lot easier for us to work with and convince an existing business to expand than it is to convince someone that's never been here and operated here to come here. Because once people operate here, they then understand what our strength is, and our strength is our people. And so, the expansions are really what excite me, and particularly, they're not the things that get the biggest headlines. I mean, everybody hears about AWS, and everybody hears about Amplify, everybody hears about Aluminum Dynamics, because they're multi-billion-dollar capital investments hiring thousands and thousands of people. That's all great. But what excites me and what's really driving our economic growth numbers are the investments by businesses that are already here. I just, I didn't write this question, but I'm sure glad somebody teed it up for me, because this is really what I want to talk about.
Hey, we may have to check this number, Lance, and see if it comes from a staff member.
and maybe it did. I don't know. But look, I mean, you look at just the projects that we have announced that maybe haven't gotten as many headlines. Because, again, I said it earlier today, it's not just the existing businesses, it's not just the small businesses, it's where they're located. It is the geography. So you look at a list this year as an example. We announced Yancey Engineering Solutions. They are investing money in Batesville, Mississippi, growing in Panola County, almost 200 jobs there. You've got a Southeastern Timber announced this year in Ackerman, Mississippi. 40 new jobs. A company like Camgian, which is located in Starkville in Oktibbeha County, only 15 new jobs in this announcement, but they pay an average salary over six figures.
Well, when you say 15 new jobs, it's easy to go, well, that's only 15 new jobs, but that affects 15 families within a city that has 20,000 residents.
Yeah, no, and by the way, they're six-figure jobs, and so there are opportunities for people within that community to move up. Maybe someone that's making 70 or 80 or 90, which is a good salary in Mississippi. But now they got an opportunity to move up. It also creates opportunities for some of these specific specified careers for people maybe to move into Mississippi. And what we find is we're seeing more and more people moving to our state, which some of my constituents think is a really good thing. Some think maybe isn't such a good thing, but that's okay. Sure. We can have economic growth and keep Mississippi.
What about location? If I'm moving a big company in, I'm obviously going to a place where I think it makes the most sense for me to be. We've seen success in the Golden Triangle with the Link partnership. Ryan Miller was on with me last week, and he talked about this new partnership between Lafayette County, Yellowbush County, Tate County, Panola County, and that certainly makes sense. But we always get the question, but what about Southwest Mississippi? What about the Delta, areas that are frankly struggling economically in our state? How do you drive business to those areas while also understanding that the companies that are coming in want to go to the places where they think they can have the most success?
Well, and one of the interesting things about being governor is when you have a major announcement, I constantly hear from my friends, my local elected leaders, my legislators in areas that did not win a specific project.
Us?
What about us? And the reality is neither the governor nor MDA nor the state ever tells a company where to go. Companies that are investing millions of dollars into our state are going to choose where they're going to go. But to your question, and it is an important one, how do you drive opportunities for those local communities to attract major investment? And the key is through the workforce development programs that we're implementing all throughout the state, through site development grants that we're implementing all throughout the state. My goal is to have 30 sites in Mississippi that are site ready for a capital investment to be made. We started that 5 years ago. The legislature has been extremely generous with resources to fund those grants. We've worked very closely with them, and we have sites located in literally every region of our state. You look at something like, you mentioned Southwest Mississippi. Natchez in Adams County has been very successful in the last 5 years at locating businesses there. They had a headquarters relocation in downtown Natchez, which brought hundreds of employees to downtown Natchez. You've seen the mayor's had a lot of success down there and reviving that community, and we're seeing success there. You saw
he's a high energy guy.
He is a high energy guy. I've known him a long time, and he's working very hard. And doing a good job down there. And that matters, by the way, because companies aren't going to locate into a community that is struggling. They're not going to locate into a community where they don't see community pride, where they don't see the government services working for the people that they're going to hire, as well as anybody that they may move into there. But we've seen some successes there, and obviously we want more and we need more.
I know you'd be happy to talk about economic development all day. Let's see if we can go rapid fire through a few other topics.
Sure.
We got the announcement yesterday that James Maxwell and Robert Chamberlain are receiving appointments for federal district judgeships, which leaves eventually a couple of seats on the Supreme Court. We have seen at the federal level the importance of these appointments, whether you're talking about Supreme Court or federal judgeships. Those are lifetime appointments. And so long after a president or a governor is gone, those continue to have effect. What about on the Supreme Court side? Obviously, those are not lifetime appointments, but the appointments that you're going to make to fill those seats.
Well, first of all, congratulations to both of those gentlemen. President Trump has selected two outstanding jurists who will do a phenomenal job. Assuming, of course, that they get confirmed by the U.S. Senate
eventually,
and I think that they will.
Yeah.
It will take longer than it should, but I do think both will get confirmed, and they both should get confirmed because they'll do incredible work on the federal bench. It does open up two Supreme Court seats in our state. They're not lifetime appointments. You got to run for re-election, but if the governor does a good job and appoints quality people, then it certainly they have an opportunity to serve for a long time. And I take those judicial appointments extremely seriously. For someone who's never went to law school, I told a group Monday at an investiture for a new circuit judge down in Forest and Perry counties. Little did I know when I ran for governor, I'd spend more time with my lawyers than I spend with my kids. But I do. But part of that is because I get sued a lot. But part of it is because we've had a lot of judicial appointments, and because of that, we have a very good process. in place. I think we've made some incredible selections, and I'll spend a lot of time and effort and hopefully get two people to fill these two seats in North Mississippi that will represent the ideals of the people of North Mississippi, but also understand that their job is not to make the law, but to interpret the law. And I think we'll find good lawyers that can fit that mold.
We saw a week or two ago an announcement that a waiver had been granted for multiple states to change what SNAP benefits looked like for their citizens, getting rid of the sugary foods and the junk food. Is that something that is on your radar as far as seeking one of those waivers for Mississippi?
It is on my radar. I actually mentioned earlier that I had spent some time with my fellow governors a week or two ago. We also had Secretary Kennedy, meetings with him while we were at the conference, and very productive meetings, and that is definitely something that we are looking into right now. And what Secretary Kennedy would tell you is, in many ways, a lot of these products that are now being banned in certain states are products that are leading to individuals that are on the SNAP program that is funded by the federal government, leading to some of these bad health outcomes, diabetes, et cetera. And it doesn't make any sense for the government to fund these products and then fund through Medicaid or Medicare huge healthcare expenses. And I think it makes sense, and we're looking into it.
Well, and I wondered out loud when we were kind of looking at that story. Mississippi, largely under your leadership, has tackled this education deficit that existed and has shown great success. Maybe that's even a bigger challenge with health outcomes. We'll see if perhaps could take on another challenge like that. We will talk a little bit about schools on the other side of this break when we wrap things up with the governor of Mississippi, Tate Reeves, joining us in studio. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. More after the break. Good to be with you this morning, and glad to have the governor of Mississippi, Tate Reeves, in studio. We've covered a lot of ground and going to try and do so in these last few minutes. The time is always too short, but appreciate very much your time this morning. Let's switch over to what most people think is going to be the hottest topic in the legislature going into the 2026 session, and that's school choice. If you were following the Neshoba County Fair last week, you talked a little bit about it. Speaker of the House Jason White talked a lot about school choice and the need to do that. The presidential administration, President Trump's administration, has talked about the need for school choice, even universal school choice across the plate, kind of across the board. That is a topic that people are very, very passionate about. Some are completely anti, some are all in. Some seem to be open to somewhat of a hybrid model. The lieutenant governor has alluded to as much, or has said directly with me on this show that he might be okay with district-to-district transfer. And yet with the Senate, we've never seen this actually get to the floor. Where do you fall in this conversation? How hard are you going to push the legislature in going down this school choice road?
Well, I think I'm going to push as hard this year for school choice as I pushed for school choice in 2012 and 2013 when I served as lieutenant governor. That's part of the conversation that really hasn't peaked its head. We've talked a lot about the successes that we've had in public education in the state of Mississippi in the last 10 years. We've gone from literally 49th in fourth grade reading to number 9. We've gone from 50th in fourth grade math to number 16. And we've seen African American students in reading go from 45th best amongst their peers to last year they were number 3 in the nation amongst their peers. And we've talked a lot about the third grade reading gate and the role that it played in that happening over the last 10 years. And we should. The Literacy-Based Promotion Act played a significant role. But I just want everyone to fully understand and appreciate that education freedom is not new to Mississippi. This is something that we have been doing. We created in those reforms in 12 and 13 ESAs, as an example, for special needs students. We created public charter schools for kids in certain districts. And so for all of my friends across the state that maybe are a little bit reluctant to talk about education freedom, the fact of the matter is we've had some forms of education freedom in Mississippi for 10 years, and the sky hasn't fallen. In fact, the exact opposite has happened. Competition works. The fact of the matter is that President Trump is 100% for more education freedom in our country, and therefore, by definition, in our state. I'm 100% for more education freedom in our state, and I hope that our Republican legislators understand that school choice is part of the Mississippi Republican Party platform. School choice is part of the National Republican Party platform, and the reason for that is simple. We believe in the individual. We believe in empowering kids and empowering parents to make the best decision for themselves. And so I know there are going to be some people that are against it. The fact is, and they're going to be against it, some for reasons that they think are valid, some for selfish reasons. And that's okay. That's part of the process. But I hope that the vast majority of legislators understand the importance for giving parents more options. And I say this all the time. If you show me a district, or if you show me an individual who is focused on doing what's best for kids, then I'll show you one that's going to be successful in education. Yeah. And there's no doubt that if you're going to come down, you can come down on the sides of institutions, or you can come down on the sides of doing what's best for kids. And I'm hopeful that the vast majority of people in our state, and ultimately the vast majority of people in the legislature, are going to come down on doing what's best for kids. And there's no doubt that more options are better for kids.
You know how the rumor mill works in and around Jackson and the Capitol. There have been some whispers. Will you wait for the 2026 legislative session for this debate, or is there a scenario where you might call a special session between now and the end of the year?
Well, I don't ever rule anything out. I do think that this topic is timely. The reality is that if you look at virtually every other state around us, Republicans in Texas and in Louisiana and in Arkansas and in Tennessee have all had this debate, and they've all implemented universal school choice. It's time for Mississippi to do something similar and do the same. And
that wasn't a yes or a no on a special session.
Well, I'm not going to announce a special session today, but I'm also not going to tell you that we're not going to have one. So we're having conversations.
We don't have time to dive into this deeply. Is it crazy to you that the race to replace you in 2.5 years seems to have already begun?
It is crazy. It is very early for the race to have already begun. But I'm going to tell you, Richard, I'm so busy working on economic development, and I'm going to let all these other people play politics, and I'm going to play governor for 2 years and 5 months, and hopefully continue to build our economy so that we have unprecedented success, regardless of who might be elected, as long as they are conservative.
Thanks for your time. Look forward to the next visit.
Thanks, Richard.
Governor Tate Reeves, 8 o'clock hour coming up next.